This whole business of dogging, Clara Walsh, our head of news, is with me. I assume you have never dogged before.
Never dogged before.
No, nor have I.
Didn't really quite understand it either, to be honest with you, and I had to get it explained to me. And it obviously is an activity where people are engaged in sexual activities in their cars and they're watched by others, but it was the watching by others part I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, we mentioned it fleetingly before on the show, and I figured that you had a handful of people, you know, right across the country, only a small number, who would go to these sort of back of beyond places, middle of nowhere, fairly limited numbers. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
No, to be honest, one of the surprising things on this website that we discovered, swingforireland.com, is that it actually has 97,658 members. So that's almost 100,000 members. So it's a considerable
that's like
number.
1 in 40 people.
Within the last 24 hours, it's got 70 new members.
So this is proving more popular than I thought. Swing for Ireland, that doesn't necessarily suggest dogging, though.
No, it has other thing, irishswingers.com. It goes into various different things. It has stuff about swinging parties.
Yeah, so people get bored in their marriages or in their relationships and they decide to spice it up by bringing in somebody else.
Yeah. Or, you know, it goes through different things as well. It's just, I think, because it goes into so much detail in relation to dogging and locations of dogging and, you know...
Why is it called dogging? I mean, that has connotations of something totally different.
I don't know, actually, and I never thought about it.
Because that horrible headline on The Star about a month and a half ago. Oh.
Share it with us.
I don't really want to if you didn't hear it, but there was a woman in Limerick.
Oh, yes, I do. No, I don't want to hear that either. Yeah, no.
So dogging doesn't mean that, anyway.
No, dogging doesn't mean that.
It's just voyeurism.
It's sexual activity in a car watched by other people, whether people drive around that car or walk around that car. That seems to be it.
So who gets the kicks? Is it the people in the car? Is it the people who watch?
Or do people who watch tend to partake in it as well? You know, is it a role reversal thing? I don't know. It wouldn't be my cup of tea at all. And I can't imagine it being, you know, not being frowned upon on legal scenes as well, you know. But
I know some people get a thrill out of doing it in certain places if there's a prospect of...
getting caught.
Yeah, getting caught.
The thrill factor. Maybe there is a bit of that.
The thrill factor, the prospect of getting caught can have the opposite effect on the man because you can't concentrate on what you need to concentrate on, you know?
I don't think I wanted to know that either. I just better warn people if they are going to be nosy and go on the website that it really isn't for little eyes. There's a few pictures of members up on it that...
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, you can't see their faces. No, they're just not appropriate for little people.
So what surprised us anyway is the sheer number. And you were looking at the Midlands, Laois, Offaly, Westmeath, and trying to figure out how many sites, not websites, but just how many places.
Yeah, of where this activity.
Stripping off.
I just rose to you taking off my car to get out.
How many places that people go in the Midlands to watch other people engage in sexual activity?
Well, on the site there's 71 locations in the Midlands. It broke down that there was 48 in Westmeath, Laois had 12 and Offaly had 11. Now that makes Westmeath not alone does it have the most locations in the Midlands, it also has the fourth highest alongside Clare in the country. Dublin, as you probably would expect, had the most at 129. But when you take the population size of Westmeath compared to Dublin, you know, it's still quite a considerable amount for Westmeath. Cork had 89 and Galway had 58. Now,
it's odd because Westmeath wouldn't be the most remote county. Okay, you have plenty of lakelands. It's a good road
network, though, as well, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that's true. But you have plenty of lakelands. But you would imagine if people wanted to go away to somewhere private, you'd head to Mayo or to the Highlands of Donegal or somewhere. But so with 78... are they all out of the
71.
way? Sorry, 71 places.
They tend to be out of the way. Of course they do in car parks and forests and places like that you said. But what's interesting about the website... Now, one thing else I just want to point out, and I don't know where this comes. Westmeath, up on the main page of it, has 48 locations, but when you click on it, there's only 38 locations. So whether that's, you know, it knocks off or after a while at the last places, you know...
Knocks off, yeah.
But just to let you know that a lot of these actually do go back for quite a number of years as well. So they could be back as far as 2009, maybe even 2008. But there have been updates for this year, looking at Westmeath alone, April to this year, and they actually give you the time and location of where one is possibly going to happen in the future, and places like that.
They're planned in advance. It's not just a case of showing up and waiting until somebody else turns up.
And there's direct, directions to these places as well. Now, they don't seem to happen that often, but when they do happen, they seem to be posted.
I find that really weird.
Yeah, I think it's very bizarre myself, but you don't know what other people's sexual fantasies are, yeah.
Well, I remember a few years ago there was great consternation in Tyrrell's Pass on the old N6. There was a lay-by, well, there still is a lay-by, as you head out the Kilbeggan direction from the village. And there was much discussion that the lay-by was being used for all sorts of activities, and maybe that's where dogging originated in Westmeath.
Would this be the place in Tyrrell's Pass that you're on about? The lay-by on the right, just past the town, heading towards Galway?
Yeah,
that's here, all right. Yeah, there's quite a few places.
I remember Michael Newman, when he was a councillor, was quite agitated about it.
Agitated? Yeah. I mean, I wonder how you deal with that,
If you live next door to that, and you know that cars are pulling up and you know what people are getting up to in the cars, you don't really want it happening next door to you.
No, you don't want it on your doorstep. Well, in fact, you probably don't want it at all. And the only thing I can say is that they don't seem to happen, they're not like cruising, they don't seem to happen on every weekend or every other day. They seem to happen months, if sometimes years apart.
So if you partake in it, what are you known as? Is it a dogger?
I think so.
Well, I could ask for doggers to call and explain why they like it, but nobody's going to come on and admit to that.
Well, I suppose if people know, or people might know of it in their area, and they could come on and explain what they know about it, as opposed to actually being involved in it themselves. Locals tend to talk about these kind of things.
Well, that's true. Okie dokie. So anyway, no swinging and dogging for you?
None at all.
Or me. I want to stress as well.
How would you actually broach it with your partner, though, that you're into something like that, either swinging or dogging or any of those other, fetishes?
Well, I don't know. I suppose over time maybe problems develop in relationships where sex doesn't interest people as much as it did.
But it wouldn't necessarily need to be a problem. Like if you had a fascination with having sex in public places, for instance, how do you broach that with your partner, that you wouldn't mind having sex in a field with other people watching you?
Well, I suppose your partner will read between the lines if you have a penchant for dragging them into a ditch every now and then. They'll kind of get the idea that you like the little bit of voyeurism.
A little risque.
Yeah, but I suppose, and this is only my theory, that people start to experiment. They bring toys into the relationship. They bring all sorts of things to spice it up. And it's an evolution from there. It just goes from one step to the next and eventually ends up at something like swinging or dogging. But you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out the problems it could bring in a relationship.
And that was the insight from Dr. William Faulkner.
Dr. Bill, I don't think. But it would bring all sorts of problems in a relationship. If you're watching another couple, and, you'll draw comparisons as well.
Would you? Would that be a man thing, do you think?
Well, no, I think, techniques or whatever, people would start saying, well, why can't you do that? Or why can't we do that? It mightn't be everybody's cup of tea. And, couples fight about stuff like that. I think it would create more problems than it would solve.
Well, on the relation with dogging, I can't see how much you can get up to in a car, because you've got space confinements. Oh, we're going off key, aren't we here?
Depends on the car. If you've got a Mini, you're in trouble. But get a Hummer.
Get a Hummer, or a limo, stretch limo.
You'll figure something out. Okay, we'll get a limousine for Clara. If there's a limousine hire company listening.
You're quite all right. I'm happy with my Fiesta.
Fiesta.
A small car, I don't need it.
Fiesta doesn't give you much option.
I know, that's why I say I don't need it.
Yeah, open the boot. Okay, Clara, thank you very much indeed. 083 30 10 103 is our text line. You should see Sinead Hubble's face, Clara, by the way. She is horrified at all these suggestions. I take it they don't do any dogging in Oldcastle then, no?
I'll just check that out for you now and let you know.
Yeah, actually find out if Oldcastle is on there. And Newbridge. See if Newbridge is listed as well. Not that I want to go, but just curiosity. 083 30 10 103 is our text line. Robbie, that's an image I didn't need. Well, you're probably not, if you are a dogger, going to tell me. But if you want to, please do, because I don't understand the appeal. A lot of the texts so far are from people who don't get it, would rather it didn't happen. So defend yourself. What's the appeal? Let me know.